Hello? Hello? What? Can anybody hear me? What's going on here? Hello? No. Nope. Well, there we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another MMO Anthropology. I am, of course, your host, Amarist, and we're in the world of Defiance, Trion Worlds MMO for the sister TV show Defiance by Sci-Fi Channel. This game got off to a bit of a rough start, and by that I mean they didn't succeed in getting all their servers running in time. There was a massive amount of popularity. It crushed underfoot the ability to log on for many people, and it also killed the ability to chat. The chat box wasn't working, there was no voice in many consoles, and etc. I'm not going to be talking about the bugs that affected the chat so much when I describe the fact that Defiance is a little bit of a social failure when it comes to an MMO property, but the fact that the game seems to dismiss organize away and discourage chatter or actually communicating with other people. And also you'll probably notice that I can't look at myself in the game. I have to stare at my back from the side, so we're going to be looking at what I'm looking at while we're wandering around, which is, well, this neat little wind farm here and the strange hooting in the background. One of the really functional and interesting social elements of this game is Arkfalls, and how about we hop into a car, have to drive to one when one is going down, and then park, and then rush in. One of the things about Arkfalls is that suddenly you're with a whole bunch of people, and shooting and banging and trying to kill the bugs that are popping out, or mutants or whatever, and there's fireworks flying all over the place, the gun is rattling in your hand. It's really exciting. You have all these people around you trying to gain an effort at a common goal, except for you don't really get to communicate with them. And I understand that in most shooters, chat and a chat box isn't your common fashion of approaching and acting with other people. Normally it's voice, but even after the Arkfall ends, nobody can hear you. Nobody looks at the chat. They don't really speak any. That's what I was getting at the very beginning, although I'm not using the microphone. I was joking about the chat there. Another thing about how beautiful and fun Arkfalls is if you're ever at one during an Arkfall, look up into the sky. Or if you're in the region of an Arkfall, just look at that. The streaking orange, the flying, the thundering noise. Now, a bunch of that electricity is coming from the crystals that are around me. And then finally, when you finish the Arkfall, the fireworks are just amazing. Like, look at this, just an explosion of orange in the center that then erupts into bright blue beams around in a corridor around you. This is a very good-looking game once you actually have things going. However, back in the world of how to socialize in an MMO, here we are. The way that you access the chat is here, hitting enter. We've actually got someone saying something that I said that like minutes ago, and this was only recent. Hit Z, you get your emotes, callouts, full chat, and chat channels, but you only have like 4 emotes. Callouts are this little. It's very console based, and this is a PC. And PC players really don't approach chat this way, and so you've got this chat channel where I've got dozens of people around me, at least we're running through an Arkfall, and no one's saying anything. When you finally bring up the chat, which normally lives in a very tiny little bubble right there, except for if you hit Z, you can bring up the full chat channel. This is gigantic. Now, this would be great if anyone was able to access it and visit it and use it in this fashion when they were just sitting around. But nobody does. Most of the time it sits off-center in a location that we're not used to in the first place on PCs. And there's just nothing. Not only that, when someone says something, no talk bubble appears above their head. This is something that we've gotten used to from World of Warcraft or from a game like City of Heroes, where when people are talking, talk bubbles appear above their head, as well as in chat. So with this, you can't tell if the person right next to you is the person talking to you or someone far away. It's very disorienting. It's kind of frustrating. Now, there have been arguments against having talk bubbles or even toggleable because during Arkfalls, people might get in your line of sight or cause you distress trying to shoot at stuff, but yeah, that could be easily that could be easily solved just by adding in, when you zoom in to fire, talk bubbles go away, etc. And then what's worse is there's very few emotes, and then the biggest problem that I have, and I'm sure you noticed this during the Arkfall, there are no nameplates over other people's heads. Like, we can witness this with this critter driving up right now. If I run near them, no nameplate appears. Nameplates only happen when I get a crosshairs over them and they're nearby. Okay, they got away, I won't be able to show it off. So once again, if someone else is talking to you, not only do you not get a chat bubble to show them that they're talking to you, you don't even know what their name is when they're next to you. You can't tell if that's the person talking unless you end up hovering over them and have something show up. In a way, this makes Defiance one of the most isolating MMOs that I've ever played with regards to a social aspect. It's even worse than Star Wars The Old Republic, which had problems because while you could group with people and you actually were able to use the chat, and people were encouraged to use the chat to form groups, was pushing way too much of the cinematography. Defiance, coupled with its sister TV show Defiance for Sci-Fi Channel, is really pushing the cinema, the cutscenes and etc. And it's really pushing away from having people part of a social avenue, except for maybe via PvP or getting together on the forums with making pre-made groups. It's very difficult to form a group or be part of a group. As you can see, nobody at all. Part of this might be because this game is just getting out and the chat doesn't work very well, and part of it is because the chat is difficult to access and it's difficult to notice. Now, all of this together just creates an environment that's not very social at all, and to this extent, I'd have to say that so far, Defiance has demonstrated the worst possible world for social interaction in an MMO that I have seen to date. And I might be coming back, I don't know. Meanwhile, I hope that you enjoy the game, and I'll see you around in it. I'm definitely here. To the rest of you, good night and good dreams. Well, if you made it this far, I hope that I've earned your like, and if you're playing Defiance right now, what are your opinions on the fact that it's so difficult to get anyone to speak to or talk to you? Are you relieved that there isn't basically Barren's chat going on? Or, I'm being shot at over there. Are you annoyed that you can't really raise anyone with the chat, that it doesn't function in a fashion that normal MMOs do? I'd really like to know what your experience in the game right now is. Meanwhile, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, or an arc will fall on your head.